My name is Amanda Riley, and I'd like to share with you today a lesson entitled The Months of the Year. But before I do, I want to give a little bit of context for this lesson. Dr. Maria Montessori developed her educational plan by first observing children. She observed children of many different ages, in many different countries, on several continents, and over the years she determined that each age carried with it certain characteristics. For instance, the preschool child, she noticed, had an absorbent mind. They were like sponges that could take in names and vocabulary words and new information indiscriminately and effortlessly. And that's why we say it's so easy for a preschool child to learn a second language or acquire musical knowledge. But in the elementary age child, Dr. Montessori observed what she called the reason mind. Dr. Montessori noticed that children of this age were very interested in the hows and the whys of the world. They were wanting to be logical and rational and very curious about the background story. She also noticed that children at this age had strong imaginations and that it was easy to guide an elementary age child to work if you first excited his imagination on a topic. And therefore, Dr. Montessori recommended that the elementary curriculum be based on stories, and in particular stories that focus on answering the questions why and how. So today, the story I'll tell is about the months of the year. I would tell this story to a younger child, an elementary, maybe 6 or 7-year-old, close to the beginning of the school year. And before this lesson, the child would have had an introduction to the idea that the earth revolves around the sun, that it takes 365 days, and that the ancient Egyptians were the first to record this information. In the lesson, you'll hear me calling upon that prior knowledge, and then I'll give the story, and then I'll offer some ideas for how the child might repeat the work in order to cement it in his or her memory. So now, if you'll put yourself in the position of the 6-year-old, there are several of you gathered around the table here, and we will begin. Hello. Welcome. I have a new story to share with you today about the ancient Egyptians and our calendar. You remember the Egyptians. We've been talking about them. You remember that they were a very orderly and methodical people and that they really liked to measure things. Yes, do you remember one famous thing that they measured? Yes, that's right, the year. They measured the year. They were the first to write that down. They loved to look up at the sky and notice changes in the stars and the sun. But there was something else up there that they saw, right? What else is up there? Yes, the moon. Of course, they saw the moon, and they noticed something about it, and probably you have too. They noticed that the moon changed in shape every night. It looked a little different. It started out as a tiny crescent, and then it grew into a glowing round ball, and then it shrank back again into a tiny crescent. And as they observed this, they didn't know something that you and I know, which is that the moon revolves around the earth, just in the same way our earth revolves around the sun. And that as it moves, it looks different to us here on earth. The Egyptians didn't know this, but they knew that the moon changed. And of course, they wanted to measure that. And so they paid attention, and they noticed that the amount of time between one full moon and the next was about 30 days. It wasn't exactly 30 days, but it was close enough. And the Egyptians liked that number because, remember, they were mathematicians, so they liked to divide. And they noticed that if they took the number of days in the year, 365, and they broke it up, divided it into little packets of 30, they got 12 of them. And they thought, how orderly, how organized. We love that. It will make it so easy for us to talk about time. Well, they had 5 extra days left over. And they put these on the end of the year. They were special days to the Egyptians. They used them for celebrations and ceremonies. But there they had it. They had the months of the year. We use this idea too when we talk about our months. You see how our calendar is broken up. Each year or each month has a certain number of days in it. Well, we did something different with our 5 extra days. We spread them out throughout the year so that some months have more days than others. October is one of them. Yeah. You know that special day, right? The last day in October. It's fun for a lot of people. It's Halloween, yeah. So we separated out those days, but still, we use the same idea of the months being based on the moon. Do you hear the word moon in the word month? They're kind of similar, aren't they? Yeah. The year comes from the sun, and the month comes from the moon. I have here some cards with the names of the months written on them. And you know they come in a certain order. You probably know the names of a lot of them. Well, I have a song that I like to sing to help me remember the order of the months, and I'm going to sing it for you now. Are you ready? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. And you know what happens when you get to the end. That's right, you start over and you say, it's a new year. Let's sing it again together. Okay, you can join us. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. Oh, it sounds so nice when we all sing together. Well, I am going to put these away now on the history shelf because they tell us how humans divided up time. But I want you to know that you can take these out again whenever you want to. You can practice putting them in order around the sun, and you can use the calendar to check your work and make sure you're correct about their order. You can use them to practice writing the names of the months. Here's September. This is the month we're in now. You'll probably need to know how to spell this in order to put the date on your work. So you can use these slips when you want to do that. And if you would like to know more about the ancient Egyptians, I have some books about them. They're also on the history shelf, and I will show you where they are. Come with me.